Casey here. So I am joined today by a special guest here. I've got Drew MacGillivray. He's co-founder of Veterans for Freedom. A lot of my followers will probably already know what Veterans for Freedom are, maybe a little bit what they do. Some of them may know Drew, but for those who don't, maybe I'll give it over to Drew and let him explain that a little bit. Thanks for coming, Drew.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. So I'm a recently retired 12-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, retired naval warfare officer. I was one of the veterans supporting the truckers in Ottawa. And from Ottawa, we formed Veterans for Freedom back in March of 2022. And we're still going after a year. It's been a bit of a rocky road, but we're still plugging away and getting new members and new supporters and building our audience. And yeah, so that's just a rough idea of who I am.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually I was around, I guess, at the formation, kind of at the genesis of V4F, and I've gotten to know some of the people, a few of the members personally. A question I actually do get quite a bit is like, what are V4F doing? I mean, both in positive way and kind of a negative way sometimes. So it's great that you're joining me today, and you can tell us about this the new initiative you got going.
Yeah, we get that a lot too, and people are like, oh, what are you guys doing like this? And there's like we get so much hate sent our way, which is fine. It really doesn't affect us whatsoever. We've had several very large and successful events that we've run, but also one of the things that we've been doing a fair bit of that not necessarily in the public view or public sphere is we go around and brief groups of people. We've briefed 150 people, 70 people, 60 people. Daryl and I have probably briefed over 1,000 people so far, and it's just giving them sort of some guidance about what's happening in our country, what's happening in our society, and some tips and some guidance about what they can actually do to counter what's happening to us. So just because don't go to the street level rallies and do things, there's lots of other stuff that we're doing behind the scenes. We've raised a lot of money for people in needs, from truckers to homeless veterans and that sort of thing. It's just a little bit, we don't necessarily broadcast publicly everything that we're doing and everything all the people that we're supporting and that sort of thing. We give lots of support to people behind the scenes. Some of the people very well and hang out with fairly often. So we often we'll get together with them and have conversations, give some guidance, some ideas, help them plan, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I was able to be at a couple of these things where you spoke, and some good stuff and some good networking definitely going on there. Maybe we'll dive right into to this new initiative that you got going. It sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we're we've been pulled since our inception. We've been pulled in how many different directions? Probably about 50 different directions. Medical cannabis for vets, to family support for vets, to like just all over the place. But one of the things we sort of excel at is raising money for people in need. So like you'll see in this video, since last year, we've raised over $100,000 for people in need. And we want to continue to do that, but we want to do it in a more sort of formal platform where the actual donors can get a say as to where the money's going. So it's called the V4F Support Fund. We say June 1st launch, but it's already launched. We already have a bunch of people who have signed up and donated to the organization. So it's pretty good. It might be a little bit rocky at first as we work out some of the kinks in the actual process, but we think this can actually blow up pretty big and become pretty popular.
Can you hear me? I lost audio there.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So I missed the whole tail end of that, but I guess everyone else got it. I had to switch off my headset. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so you probably know better than to me. Should we jump into to explain? I honestly missed the last minute. So
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's not. It's stuff that I've mentioned to you before. So do you want me to share the video right now?
Yeah. The video that we watched, that'd be perfect. It's a good summary.
All right.
Cornell and board of directors.
Sorry, I'll just.
Hi, I'm Warrant Officer retired Eddie Cornell, and I'm on the board of directors and also a co-founder of Veterans for Freedom. I was a gunner and served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 22 years. Since the creation of Veterans for Freedom in March of 2022, we've raised over $100,000 for citizens that are in need of financial assistance. We feel that no one should have to sell their house to defend themselves from tyranny, whether it's from federal government, bureaucrats, or unelected boards. Let me tell you how it'll work. You can go to www.v4f.ca and hit support fund and sign up with your credit card for a minimum of $5 per month. We'll collect the funds for that month on the first day of the following month. Also, we'll send out a survey to all the donors with several options on where the funds will go. The survey window will be open for a week, and then we'll publish the results and send the funds to whichever initiative receives the most votes. We've created a separate high interest bank account with no fees, and it's only Stripe that takes a 2.9% amount, and the rest, including the accrued interest from that account, will be distributed. Each month, we'll upload our bank statement, and we'll also publish a monthly report, and the process will be completely transparent, with exception of the donors' names and emails for privacy. Imagine if we had 5,000, 10,000 Canadian citizens donating $5 a month. Could you imagine what it'd be like if we had 100,000 Canadians donating $5 a month to help fellow citizens and help them to protect themselves from the tyranny that people are experiencing? The difference with us is that you, the donor, you'll decide where the funds will go. There'll be no skimming off the top for salaries, overhead. Every cent that is put into that bank account will get to the people in need. Now, you can read on how the funds will be distributed on our standard operating procedure, or SOPs, that will be on our website. We'd also be open to any suggestions for changes that donors may have through feedback. And the government, bureaucrats, elected continue to target people that speak out. This is how we can speak out collectively. And this will help people who are doing it now that need our support. Because next time, it could be me, it could be you. And where does it stop? Where does this end? Let's band together. Let's do our part. And I really appreciate you taking the time to hear about our effort. And remember that together we win.
Yeah, that's a great video. There's quite a bit there. So it's going to be a membership based like type system.
Yeah, so it's not really membership. I think we have 8 or so buttons that you can use to donate. You can do, whether it's $5, 10, 20. Some people who've already spoken to us have committed into the hundreds of dollars. And so you pay that. There's no login. There's no, you don't have to register who you are and that sort of thing. And basically what it is that people will get, we actually have some pretty strong or internet security guys on board who are coding and doing firewalls and all that jazz. These guys are pretty switched on. They know exactly what happened to the Give Send Go leak and how they got hacked and how to fix it.
Yeah.
And we have, so right now we have like 3-step authentication onto our Stripe account, which is where all the emails are listed. And then we also have, your regular bank accounts and that sort of thing. Now, if you want to get into the technical details of how we're taking your privacy seriously, the guy has already added, I think, a couple questions on the FAQ on the website, where you can see exactly what they're doing and the sort of measures that they're putting in place for security. So you don't have to register to do an account. You get a survey sent to you on the first day of every month with the initiatives, how much money was raised, and you get to vote as to where that money goes. So I can tell you, the first month, one of the initiatives is supporting Pat King. So Pat King, whether you like him or not, is irrelevant. I think most of us know he's being targeted by the state, and he needs some financial help to pay his lawyers to help defend himself. So, but just because their names are up there, their initiative, the cause, their application, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get funds, right? So it's up to the donors who will vote to say where those funds go.
Yeah. So okay. By membership, I meant more like. So is this like? Are they signing up for like a reoccurring, or is it like you do it every month? You want to buy in this month, and then we can try to support these people, and each person who buys in has a say, or is it an ongoing recurring?
Yes, that's understood. Yeah, that's correct. So you set up a recurring payment. You can do like a one-time payment, just cancel it after. So you set that payment up, and it'll automatically charge your credit card, or you can set up a recurring payment through e-transfer. That's what I've done personally for my contribution to the fund. And yeah, you can cancel at any time. You can change the amount at any time. You can do a one-time donation. You can, we always get a lot of these. We expect a lot of these questions to come our way. So what we're doing is we've worked on it's fairly comprehensive so far, but we'll continue to add questions once we get questions from people. But we have an FAQ on the website there that'll explain a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I did have a look at the website. So I mean, there's a ton of good information, and like so many of the things, anytime I've done anything around you guys at P4F, it's been like every base is covered. It's pretty thorough stuff, and so then I read through that, and it gave me a wealth of information, and probably almost all the questions that people might have. One thing in the video that you did say, so as far as payments, like the payment provider, if it's paid by credit card, will take a fee. But other than that, basically all money is going to go towards these initiatives. Like no salaries, no operating costs are being taken off the top.
Yeah, that's correct. So now people are like, well, we already have the Democracy Fund and JCCF and that sort of thing. Not trying to interfere with those groups at all. I assume they've done some good work. I don't personally follow them too closely, but they get a bunch of money and they have lawyers and overhead and staff and that sort of thing. And but ours is a little bit different, right? Because we don't have any salaries, we don't have any overhead. Like we even talked to our credit union, and the bank account's free. It's like 5% interest or whatever it is. Yeah. So there's literally going to be no overhead associated with this. We've already ordered the checks and that sort of thing. And all that money that's well, I should say all the money every month, because there might be 6 months down the road we might not have anyone who needs help. So people can, give the option. We can give it to veterans charities or veterans not-for-profits, who we have a lot of those guys and gals we're in contact with. And or you have the option when you do a survey is just to roll it over to the next month. So if we can build up this nice war chest of money, then we can just say there's no sort of people being
I
needed.
find it hard to believe there won't be someone in need probably every month.
Yeah,
The issue
under
may be
this.
so many people in need that it's going to be hard to vet through everything. But I'm sure there's people on board with BeFred. Like you guys got specialists in almost every field. I would imagine vetting people probably wouldn't be a hard thing for you guys.
Yeah, we're not too worried about that. Yeah, we got a good solid sort of headquarters of people who we have no sort of issues or concerns with, who work hard or in it for the right reasons. But you're right. Under this current government in this this day and age, I assume that everyone like we're going to be busy for months and months and months. And someone brought up something to us when we were sort of spitballing with them. I thought it was an interesting point is what we're seeing is right now as well as medical tyranny, right? So you have a taxpayer who she's an elderly lady who based on her medical choice or whatever she was denied some sort of organ transplant, right? Because she's not willing to take the what. And that's like that's unfair, right? So if we have a bunch of
Yeah,
money, maybe
it's actually
if
shocking.
yeah,
I actually did
well,
an interview with her quite a while ago, and to believe she's still suffering and fighting that is it's just man. And that's
yeah,
one
so
story among hundreds, or thousands, or who knows how many.
yeah, but how good would it be if we had enough money to fly her to another country to receive
Yeah.
an organ transplant and
Oh
fly her
yeah.
back to take
Yeah.
care of her, right? So that I thought that was interesting. That's why we included the medical side of the house in that, because there's people being treated like second class citizens. So there's all sorts
With
of
their lives
initiatives.
at stake, literally with
Yeah,
their lives on the line.
Yeah, 100%, right? So there's all sorts of good things we'd be able to do with this money. We hope it gets up, eventually. Like we we don't really public relations the hell out of stuff too much. Like we've done a couple things here and there. The Air Cadet piece was one that was a big sort of thing that we pushed, but that was because the parents asked us to do that, right? So we've already, like I said, organized a bunch of stuff behind the scenes where we don't publicize. But this is going to be completely different. We are going to publicize the hell out of it, and if we'll get people to get those big checks and go down and hand them to people in need, pictures, videos, everything. And it's not because we want recognition; it's that selflessness is contagious, and if people see the good that we're doing and helping people, we will get more people wanting to sign up and contribute and to help out and push back against the state. So we're
Yeah,
definitely going to have a public relations campaign associated with every initiative.
and that is so important. You can't only just talk and say what but you show a better way, show what's possible when people start working together. And I mean, this really it has the feeling of a grassroots type thing. So many of the different things that I've been around when you've been around anyways, and everywhere lately, we talk about starting locally.
Yep.
You can, a few people doing something, starting something, it can make a huge difference downstream. There's a huge effect. And when you have a few bucks from $5 even from enough people, then you can start having one heck of a big effect and changing lives almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, think about it. We're at almost 40 million people in Canada. What if we had a million people giving $5 a month? That's some significant power that we can use to defend people who are in need, right? And I talked to a guy who didn't have money for a lawyer. He got like some crappy public defender or whatever who's so overworked and can basically barely do their job, right? And the guy's just going to get screwed because he can't pay a retainer of $5,000 for a lawyer to defend himself. Like that's just nonsense. Meanwhile, these crown attorneys are getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to persecute people, knowing that they don't have the money to defend themselves. That's why it's a good thing that Eddie mentioned that in his video is you shouldn't have to sell your house to defend yourself from state tyranny. That's just a bunch of nonsense. But that's what's happening because they're punishing people for pushing back against their woke nonsense and pushing back about what's happening with the government. And a lot of people are afraid to sort of step up and speak out, right? Because they don't want to lose everything. They do have a family to take care of, right? And I can't believe this is happening in our country.
Yeah, and they do that for exactly that reason. They make the process the punishment, and they make it severe. I mean, these kinds of things tear relationships and families apart. People lose everything, and I mean, people who have committed no crimes and are being accused of all kinds of petty things. And a lot of the times, they put these people through stress and destroy their lives just to stay the charges or drop them right at the last minute, so they don't take a loss. It's absolutely wild. And I've seen this happen to quite a few people, and I understand, it makes people nervous. Can't, some people have a lot
Yeah.
more to lose than others too. So, it's hard.
Yeah, 100%. And we've had people lose their jobs, lose their livelihoods, their houses, their families, their friends, everything, for pretty much the tyranny that started a couple of years ago. And that's the whole thing. Is like, it can happen to you, can happen to me, can happen to any one of us. And if we have this strong fund that's being run properly by patriotic people who are completely transparent, then it can protect people from the state, because that's what it is. It's anyone who's speaking out against the state, pushing back against the tyranny, pushing back against the bureaucracy and that sort of thing. They're being targeted by the state, and so, like, getting held up in court or getting tickets for $5, $10, $15,000, whatever they are. Like Kristen Nagel down at Canadian Frontline Nurses, I think she got hit with a $10,000 or $15,000 fine for pushing back against this. Like, so this is something we can do collectively. We can build up this nice fund, and we can start to help people and bulwark around people who are speaking out against this stuff.
Yeah, and when people actually, in those specific cases, when people are able to fund or put up a proper fight, it's not much of a fight. The government loses. They lose it, but they know that they can destroy and bankrupt people and put them through hell. So that a lot of people won't fight, right?
Yeah, and especially with people having trouble paying for groceries and inflation and that sort of thing. Just people ask themselves, like, do I really want to get a ticket or get a lawsuit? So they're forcing people in compliance, whether it's lawful or not, because they don't want to get hit with some sort of fee or some sort of fine or whatever. And like businesses and stuff being shut down. Like, I have a perfect example. A buddy of mine who ran a small restaurant in Toronto. After going through all the stuff, they tried to do takeout. They a small restaurant. They tried the whole plexiglass nonsense and put all this money to it. And then, like a year and a half ago, he literally just, and his restaurant employed 12 full-time and part-time staff, and he literally just locked the door and walked away because he had lost everything, his entire livelihood.
Yeah, and destroyed 12 other lives in the meantime.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's those stories are everywhere, man. Like, these things aren't coming back. These businesses, these livelihoods, these opportunities are gone forever.
yeah, and yeah, like if you look at restaurant liquidation in Toronto, like it just wiped out all these mom and pop shop restaurants and that sort of thing.
And that's mom and pop everything's. You're right, and and then it turns into this whole then one big company that's too big to fail, and then eventually the government comes in. Oh, they're too dangerous. Then it's the government. Then we're all in big trouble.
Yeah.
It's
So
all by design.
Here, do you want me to share the webpage there?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, at least give people a quick look. Yeah, it looks good.
Hold on here.
Whoever's been working on your website is doing a nice job.
Yeah, we got some guys who are just local to me, who I met through these local meetings I've been organizing, a homesteading meeting, and they've come on board and they see what we're doing, and they're doing it all for free and everything. So it's been great. All right, so can you see the webpage?
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah.
Okay, so that if you go to v4f.ca, it forwards to veteransforfreedom.ca. And then, we'll have the rest of our site all finished probably within the next week or two. We have just sort of a bunch of things we're working through. But then you click for V4F Support Fund, and it loads up the page. Just you go right to .ca/fund, and it'll take you there. So here's the web page. It is loading right now. So anyways, so we have the blurb about what it is. We have the options, 8 options right now that you can sign up for recurring payments. If you don't want to use a credit card, we have e-transfer available as well. With e-transfer, actually every single cent goes into the fund. There's no Stripe fee, and you can set up recurring payments with the e-transfer. Now, it does have auto deposit on. But if for whatever reason, we know people have had trouble in the past, they do need to enter a password. We just put the Fund for Freedom password, and then we'll accept it. So that's the video that we watched, just embedded. You go resources and downloads. We have a poster here that you can download and share on your social media, print it off, share wherever. We have a SOP here. I don't know if the new window opened. Do you see the new window with the SOP?
No. Some of them were, the menus below
Okay,
should pull down, I believe, but
no. Yeah, so there's the SOP we have for how we collect the funds, the key timings, that sort of thing. The bank statements and monthly reports will obviously come in July after the first month of it, and then we also have a downloadable PDF for application for funding, right? Because
okay.
we have a good idea about what's sort of happening, but we don't know about everything. So there's an application there.
Yeah, that transparency
the
thing
FAQ or frequently asked.
The transparency thing and how you can put everything right there. I mean, that's huge too. So many things, people are wondering, like even, and for people that don't know, like even some of the charities that that give the most amount of the money they collect to, like they might be what, at 90%, something like that. You're going to be giving all this money is going to be helping people, and it's going to be transparent.
Yep.
That's pretty huge for people who have concerns or are curious. If everyone has a problem, there's a way to remedy that right away for them.
Yeah, exactly. So the bank statements will obviously have some things redacted, contact information. We're even redacting which credit union we're at, so we don't get a bunch of friggin' left-wing lunatics calling them and saying you guys are supporting Nazis and all their other crap. So, but the bank statements will be there, and then two of us will draft up and sign the monthly report. The monthly report will have the number of donors. The average donation amount, it'll have, actually, it's all in the FAQ, right? So if we go down here,
yep. That's really thorough.
Yeah, we'll continue to add. The more we get questions, we'll continue to add, so we don't have to, spend all of our time responding to emails. But here, so the after action report is actually the sort of the monthly report, and so we'll include the results of the survey, the amount of donors, the average donation amount, the percentage of donors actually responded to the survey. And then we'll critically look at the previous month and say what worked, what didn't work, how can we make changes that will make the whole process more efficient. So, and then we'll do that, we'll review it, we'll publish that, and we'll publish that report. And then people will see exactly where it is. Now we're going to have, for people who are really into the tech stuff, who are worried, I've read through the sort of SOP of how the survey gets sent. It's like, 3 paragraphs of, encryption and this and secure laptop and it's crazy the level that these guys are going to go to do it. And like I said earlier, we have 3-step authentication set up on our Stripe account. Only 2 of us have access to that account, and that will just get deposited into the account. We publish the bank statement. We show that the funds have been transferred to the person, whether it's in-person check or e-transfers or whatever it is. And then it's just rinse and repeat. And so we're going to work. It is to help veterans in need as well. So, when things sort of die down a bit, we will have options to support veterans in need. There's a handful of organizations that we know and who we support. And then we're thinking possibly down the road is to have another option where you can say, you can, when you give your vote, you can check off a box saying we would like, 5 or 10% of the money to go to different various veteran organizations. Not us, obviously, but it's going to be some organizations out there who we know of and have sent money to before to try and help them out. Some of them are charities, some of them are not for profits, but it's all good guys who run those organizations, right? One's for service dogs and that sort of thing. So there's going to be lots of options. Again, we'll change it, and then what we'll do is, once we sort of make changes to the procedural side of the house, then we can just put it out to the people and say, okay, do you want us to do this or not do this? And then they can vote. And the thing is like after a month or 2, if we make change or whatever, not everyone's going to want those changes, right? And we're not going to be able to make everyone happy. And you have the option to shut down your account, shut down your recurring payment. So nothing's
No one can
going to
ever
be,
please everyone, right?
yeah,
But
exactly.
but this
Yeah.
way, I mean, even if it is something, 1 month, and you're giving to something, it's going to always be going to a good cause. Even if you don't get your vote, like, or your favorite. I mean, at least you know it's going somewhere, and it's going to be used for something good. And the fact that people have a say, for me at least, that would be a good selling point, anyway.
Yeah, well, 100%. And we don't, even with our organization, if we can get our 3,100 members we have donating $5 each, that's
Yeah.
15 grand right there. We have thousands and thousands of supporters. We have, we just launched the site. We already have people signed up, right? Who've
Yeah, and
already
that's
paid.
incredible, and I mean, you'll be able to start using. People will see right away. So I think that's probably a great selling point. Especially if you get like, you don't want to be vain, but you got to get the media part of it right and get it pumped out so people can see that. Look, listen, we're already helping. Here's a story of something we've done, and I mean, definitely too, that if you're able to help and share some of those helping veteran stories, I think that would go a long way too. I mean, those are.
Yeah, yeah, that. So we will have to work out the sort of process for how we want to do that, right? Because we don't, like a service dog costs about 25 grand. I think the site is, or sorry, the list for service dogs, from my understanding, is over 500 veterans. But just say we're pulling in a couple $100,000 a month. We've already talked to, or one of our guys has already talked to the guy, the service dog guy, and say, look, if we give you the money, the 25, can you pump out a service dog a month, right?
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
biggest sort of shortfall to mission success has been the funding side of the house. So if we can do that, if we can get veterans issues covered, because that's one of the core things that our organization does, is not just look out for Canadian citizens, but try to push the veterans helping veterans angle. And we really want to actually have a difference in people's lives, because it's not, we're not special because we're vets. We are not, like, you'll see on the new page in the FAQ, like, we don't think we're special. We don't need special recognition or whatever. But generally, I know there's a couple hundred commie vets on Twitter who waste their time attacking us all the time, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like they're a bunch of boomers who just shit all over us. But anyways, we don't really care about them. We just ignore those people. But if the more sort of patriotic vets who we can help and focus on their health and wellness, get them restored, get them back up and running, get their, move them off the, 20 drugs that they been prescribed, and get them over to maybe to microdosing or medical marijuana or treatments or that sort of thing. The more guys and gals we have who we can help, the more sort of, the more people will stand up and help the organization and see what's happening, and push back, right? So
Yeah, and that's something that I mean, the government is completely ignored. There's so many suffering veterans for all kinds of different reasons, and I mean, like you say, veterans are people, but you guys, a lot of you have particular things that you went through that make some stuff difficult. And like, man, having a service dog, imagine giving a service dog a month, like, you would be changing lives like immediately, right? Saving
yeah,
lives, possibly, quite possibly.
yeah, yeah, 100%. That's a big one. And the it, and it's, everyone sort of attacks the government with veterans, or veterans, that sort of thing, and people attack Veterans Affairs and everything. Is all that stuff, it's all individual. Like me personally, I got medically released a year and a half ago. All my interactions with Veterans Affairs or VAC have been positive. My case manager is amazing. They're super supportive. I got a really, really bad left knee, which I can go to physio and that sort of thing for. So it's not every vet who deals with VAC has the same sort of negative interactions, right? I would say it'd just be on a case
Yeah,
by case basis, because
there does
it's
seem to be a lot of people falling through the cracks, though. I mean,
yeah. There was a report out, I think, earlier in the year. They thought there was maybe 2,500 homeless veterans in Canada. Like, we've dealt with some of them. It's like, those guys and gals, you have to want help, right?
yeah, and
To be able to do it.
there's all kinds of things that come along with that, and yeah, I mean, it's not as simple as just popping a place for someone and they're okay. Like, generally, there's problems that lead to that, right? And it takes quite a bit to get to the underlying issues and address those, and that's where somebody that can come in and get the people real help.
Yeah, well, the thing that I've sort of found out, because I haven't been obviously a vet for very long, I don't pretend like I have all the answers to, veteran issues, guys who've been dealing with stuff for 20 or 30 years. I've only been out a year and a half. But one of the sort of consistent things I've seen from being in the veteran community, talking to vets and everything, is the whole by veterans for veterans, right? So there's some great guys over at Spartan Wellness who are, it's a medical marijuana organization, or sorry, company. It's run by veterans, so they know what sort of veterans need. So they have a really good sort of rapport and understanding. And I'm not saying the other companies don't, but
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is a lot of guys and gals feel comfortable when they're dealing with other vets for whatever issues that they have. So
It's hard
that's
enough
what
to
it is.
deal with things. So if you're able to deal with somebody that understand, you feel like is understanding and accepting and is well intentioned. I mean, that could be the difference between getting help and not, or a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, and not, and the thing is just sort of not every veteran is needs help, right? Lots of guys have got out and become successful, or carried on with their lives. And I think that when we talk about veterans a lot, people just automatically say, oh, they have PTSD or they have a TBI or something like that. That's not the case, right? That is only a small portion of the over 460,000 veterans in Canada. I believe there's only, I think it's less than 20,000 people who are prescribed medical cannabis. Some people served for 3 years, and they've carried on with their lives. So not every veteran
Yeah, everyone has a
needs help.
different experience, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
very,
So
very different experience, I would think.
yeah, and like, but the thing is, like, you talk to, I've had guys confide in me that the trucker convoy saved their lives, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
And
I
I've
mean, that's
had,
how I kind of got started in this. I met down at the memorial right at the start. I met a guy. I never seen him again. Wish I would have got his name, but he was down there by himself. He was from one RCR, I think he told me, and he hadn't been out of the house for like over 2 years at this point. At
yeah,
that point, and not because of COVID, really. Like he was in a really bad way, and he got out, and he because of the convoy, and then also hearing what they were saying about the memorial. He came down. He had his beret on, man. He had his medals on, and like we had a conversation, man. It nearly took me to my knees. But that got that guy out, man, and it very well may have saved his life. I wish I got his name, but then right after that, I met Alex Cabana. So
yeah, Alex, a beauty. Yeah, they're so, and again, I've had people talk to me again personally and saying, the V4F saved their lives because they were just sitting on their couch, drinking, getting high, and that sort of thing, and not getting outside. But now we have groups and regions and members all across the country, guys who are awake, right? Like our organization, not even close. We do not represent the majority. It's less than 1% of the vets across the country. We're growing, which is good. But people are like, oh, what do you guys? It's like we're just awake. Our group of our guys and gals are awake. We know what's going on, and we're going to try and do our best to push back against that. But guys have told us, they said, the fact that I found out I'm not alone. There is other vets out there. They're traveling around. They're meeting people, finding other vets who are awake, and they can share their concerns and everything with. That's been huge, right? Like, and I tell people this when I talk to them is I have more friends now, probably 10 times as many friends now post convoy than I did had pre convoy.
oh goodness,
Right?
yeah, man. Yeah, and you kind of go through processes. I was down to like basically one or no friends before all this. Now it seems like everywhere I turn is a friend, and I mean that's actually huge. Right? The communities and the networking, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean it was weird for me a little bit at first, like veterans, It's like this class that until you get to know people, you're all just people,
Yeah.
and there's all different. I've met so many different kinds of veterans now that was really eye opening for me. It was a little strange, like I was just some guy who was around filming you guys at first,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Almost your little pipsqueak with like 200 followers. I almost stepped on you.
yeah,
Just kidding.
exactly, yeah,
Just kidding. That's an inside joke between
yeah.
us. I always make
Don't
fun
worry
of his
about it.
follower count. Yeah, there's definitely is, man. There's just like everything else. There's a whole spectrum of guys. You got full blown communists to probably like right wing, nut jaw, like you name it. But
Yeah.
people always try to put us all in the same, paint us all with the same brush. That's not the case whatsoever, right? Like there's so many
Yeah,
different
so much so.
personalities, different opinions, you name it. Like, just
The
is what it
thing that
is.
I like so much about doing stuff with you guys and gals, you got to watch our misogyny here. is that it was like so much of a kind of a merit and earn based thing that like it should have or was in the military, I guess. Different people with different skill sets. Never had a problem with egos when I was around your group in particular. Anyone in your group, which is nice.
Yeah, the only one who has the ego is Tom Marazzo. I hope he's watching, just busting his balls there.
Tom, is
That's
it Tom?
another.
Yeah, Tom.
I, I hammer that guy's bag all the time. So
Is he not a Fed?
oh yeah, sure, he is a Fed. Yeah, that's another. That's a funny thing. Everyone, dude, that's like the most overused term in the whole.
Dude, that's one of the only things I have not been accused of being is a Fed.
Yeah,
everything else, like white supremacist, you name it, everything. But
oh yeah. It's pretty funny. We had like some unhinged guy like email us a bunch of things, and he's like, "You're a controlled opposition. You're a Fed. I can tell."
Yeah, that's the other one.
I'm like, all right. And it's like what we say all the time is like, prove it. If this is true, then prove it. You're the one making the statements. Like,
yeah, and I mean, the more extreme or absurd the statement, the more evidence you should have to back up that ridiculous statement, in my opinion. But
yeah, like I can share it. People on like, oh, you guys are stealing money and everything. I can show you my bank account; it's empty, and my lines of credit are full. Like I'm supposed to be working and getting stuff done and everything, but I'm not because I'm volunteering. My phone pings every single day and emails and this and that, and we just got a big group reach out to Daryl and I. Daryl's like my fire team partner for our community briefings. They want
Daryl,
no, not Inkster. No,
okay.
Daryl Smith. He's the
okay, yeah,
guy.
Yeah, okay, I know him.
So we get a request to Sault Ste. Marie, go up to there to brief, and it's like that's a 7-hour drive each way, and then the briefing we give is 4 hours, and then we have people like, oh, you need to come out to this part of the country or this. It's like, we don't get paid for any of that stuff. We ask for some donations to cover the cost of fuel and that sort of thing, but that's a lot of time, right? Like I'm on a farm here, I got livestock, I got dogs, I got things.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it all, honestly. Like I know what it's like to be running around to different places, and like I don't get out about as much, but there's times where I'm like, man, I was all over the province at times, and it's not only is exhausting and it's lovely. I mean, it costs money, and I don't have a farm and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm lucky that I was able to do this and continue to so far. But
but we have like a really good community. I got a good set of neighbors here. You got people who can help out, people who will dog sit and that sort of thing. So that gives us the ability to get out. And these people are awake. They're supporting with what we're doing, right? So this is how they can help out, right? Like shout out to John and Rhonda. I don't think they're watching, but they help me out a lot with taking care of dogs and I pretty much lost last year on this farm, right? Because I was in Ottawa, I was traveling around, doing a lot of work with James Top and that sort of thing. And if it wasn't for me being able to get a bunch of people up here to help out on the weekends, we probably wouldn't be able to accomplish what we're looking to accomplish.
Yeah, well, and that's so good about when you network and you start doing it with the right people. Then you can do stuff like this. Like you become far more capable, and these little groups, even small groups of people working together, are look what a few of these groups are capable of doing when everyone gets together.
Yeah, well, 100%. So if people can just put the ego aside, I know there's a lot of it. People arguing about, oh, my freedom group has 50 people and mine has 100, and it's just it's unfortunate that they can't focus on mission, what the mission is, maintain mission focus, and like strive and work towards mission success, right? So, but that's not to be. It's not unexpected that sort of thing is going to happen, right? So, but what we focus on is just trying to educate people, inform people. I think at the end of the week we're going from a daily in some, it's going to turn into a weekly or bi-weekly in some there, because that takes a lot of resources from guys.
They are pretty good, but they're really good actually. But you're right. Coming out every day, it's hard, and putting in that much work if they're not getting seen properly, then it's kind of, you got to pick your battles, right?
Yeah, and the other thing there is we don't Jeff does his podcast Monday to Friday, which is good if you can sit through that for an hour, just listen to it while I'm working and that sort of thing. But it's all about ground game, right? So you mentioned it earlier, like the local side. It's like local change will have national impact, and localism will counter globalism, right? So if my group here, that I've started with a local businessman. We don't talk about the jobs. We don't talk about politics or that sort of thing. We strictly focus on food security, community building, and helping each other. Right. So we don't talk about the controversial stuff that divides people and that sort of thing. And if
That's
you
fine.
actually like one of the things they used to say at my previous unit, I was like, don't talk, do. So many people like talk and this sort of thing. It's like, no, you got to get out on the ground, meet people face to face, talk to them, try and wake them up, talk to them about what's going on, educate them, inform them, and then over to them to sort of make their own decisions of what they're going to do, because and in the military you have three levels of you have three different levels. You got the strategic level, and you have the operational level, and you have the tactical level. The strategic levels, like your sort of high end 38,000 foot view guidance about like, okay, we want you to invade this country or go and do this or whatever. And then it has to trickle down to the operational level, which is like your middle management, and then it trickles down to the tactical level. Is that you can have all the strategic guidance in the world coming from these people, like the doctors or Jordan Peterson or whoever, those people who sort of provide strategic level insight and guidance and that sort of thing. Is that if you don't have the tactical level, if you don't have the ground game, none of that stuff matters. You can do strat level stuff till the cows come home. If you don't have people who actually execute it on the ground, then it means sweet fuck all, right? So
Yeah.
people need to step up their ground game, get involved with the big thing we've been pushing since November of last year is food security, right? That's like our sole thing that we've been seeing of how to sort of counter the globalists. So we need to get more people out there, more people involved in the community, more people attending, the bylaw meetings, school board meetings, that sort of thing, and get involved at the tactical level, because that's where you're going to have the most effect.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing is too. Sometimes there's kind of a double-edged sword there with the people that are out doing this ground level stuff. Is like they don't have time or the inclination often to share it or to record or broadcast whatever you want to say what they're doing. So like since I've been in contact with you and I've connected with some people that are doing some amazing things with food sustainability, all kinds of different things. Um, but there's very little as far as so much information coming out. I see very little of that ever, or see actual hear it talked about, but I see very little of it. So I mean, that's something maybe to think about how that message could be shared a little better. And once those smaller groups, that are connected, man, that local effect has huge downstream effects.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to sort of check up on that. I know a guy who was in one of my briefings there, and he emailed me. Is like, I no longer have a blade of grass on my property. He goes, it's all like raised garden beds and hoop houses in his backyard and that sort of thing. And his other neighbors beside him are getting involved, and so it's hard to actually show that. It's like you can give some guidance. We've had tours of our farm up here, and people come
Yeah,
to see how we're doing, and we can connect people with cheap greenhouses and that sort of thing, and what we've done. But ultimately it's up to the people to actually do it, right?
yeah, of
You
course, yeah.
have to, you get some guidance, you get some inspiration or whatever, but you actually have to go out and do it yourself. Like I'm
Yeah, and
busy.
see, I'm thinking of it from like a different angle than you would. Like I'm thinking like, how can I let people know that these people are out here and have been successful? Like, look at what this guy has instead of an arid backyard that nobody uses. Like they have this, and then people can go. I mean, I can't obviously explain how to do everything, but start connecting people and funneling the right way.
Yeah, we focus. We definitely don't try to be the experts on everything, but we send people off to a guy named Curtis Stone, the urban farmer, or is like off grid with
Yeah,
Curtis Stone. I think his new thing. He's got 500,000 YouTube subscribers. He's out in the BC interior. He's awake as can be. He's awesome. So we actually just have some guidance of like, okay, if you want some instruction
yeah,
on how to do this, how to get started, these are some good channels. Our Copia on YouTube. The guy's awake. He's I think it's in northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan. He's deep greenhouse where he produces a lot of food and freeze dries. But that's only if you're interested in that stuff, right? Not everyone's
yeah.
interested in that sort of thing. So, we're just sort of giving our best sort of guidance of how we can counter a bunch of this stuff. But again, it's ultimately up to the people to be able to do that. The feedback we've been getting is people are getting involved, and we just did a briefing in Sudbury to 70 people, and it was great. There was like a workshop. A lady brought in a bunch of tomato plants, was with the kids, showing them how to plant tomatoes, and and this, and then giving them away to people and networking. Well, your business can help my business and this and that. That's what we got to do. And it's hard to try, I think, and try and publicize that.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can come to my farm, you can see all the chickens and everything we
Yeah.
have here, but then
Yeah.
you're just going to.
You're right. And getting that networking done, like you may be specializing in food security, but the guy that comes, you're going to have overlapping interests and needs. And some people are going to be better at one thing. Like obviously nobody can be an expert on everything. It's the same thing with all this information being thrown at us, like I guess it's partially by design, but you get information paralysis. If you don't focus in and decide what's most important and where to put your energy, like you'll just be reading and talking all the time without ever doing a thing.
Yeah, so information saturation is definitely an aspect of information warfare, of 5th-gen warfare. And there's so much information out there, you get confused, you don't know what to believe, right? And you can see I've met those people who just have this look in their eyes that they've been down the rabbit hole too much and they don't know what to believe anymore, unfortunately. But this is one of the first slides that we do in our sort of community intelligence briefing is we talk about the circles principle, right? So that's from Andy Stump, ex-Navy SEAL down in the United States. He runs the Cleared Hot podcast. But he said, you have 3 circles. Your circle of control, which is what, you do and how you act and your actions. He goes, you have your circle of concern or your circle of influence, your friends, family, colleagues, whatever, your community. And then you have your circle of concern. And so too many people are spending time in their circle of concern, and in the circle of concern, you have no control or influence over, like none. You have nothing. I'm not saying don't spend any time there. Like it's good to maintain some situational awareness, but I've literally met people who just go through Pfizer documents all day, every day on Telegram, watch documentaries and this, and they're just wasting their time because they're spending too much of their time in that circle of concern and not focusing on their control and influence circles where you're going to get the most bang for the buck. And so when I said earlier, don't talk, do, when you're just in your circle of concern, it's like all you're doing is wasting your time. You're not doing anything. So you need to shift some of your time and focus over onto how you conduct yourself, so your circle of control and your circle of influence, and you will see results, right? Like I'm on the ground all the time in my community doing things. This homesteading group we have is up at 150 people. People are helping. We're combining purchasing power. We're buying instead of going to Home Depot and buying something for $50, we're actually going directly to the supplier and say, look, we'll do a full truckload of whatever it is we're ordering, and then we're getting it for $30, right? So there's all sorts of things you can do where you're having a positive impact on your community.
Yeah, and that kind of positive community building, and when you become capable and sustainable as a community, then that's a stalwart against the government, and dependence on the government and the government coming in there to mess with you.
Yeah, that's why we tell people pay attention to bylaw, right? Because for so many years, no one's paying attention to bylaws. A bunch of swamp donkeys in there just shoving through anything that they wanted. But now people are awake. We got to get people in there and paying attention to what the agendas are in the meeting minutes of these things, and go in there and start to voice your concern of what they're doing, because they're so used to just pushing stuff through bylaw. Like what happened in Ottawa, a bunch of the meetings there, the school board meetings, everyone was getting involved. And like I said, like these swamp donkeys in there, they're like, oh, I'm going to mute you because now they're being challenged for once, and they're a bunch of freaking spineless weasels, right? And they can't take any sort of discussion, right? They're shutting fathers.
Yeah. They literally shut things down here. Yeah. Like shut them right down.
Yeah, so they're going to be, because they don't want to be held to account. They're just used to getting away with all their bullshit that they push on everyone and all their woke nonsense, because they're just a bunch of feckless weasels. And now they're being held to account. And then what they do, they turn around and cry victim. That's what they do.
Big time. And I know. And at those meetings, there was those very meetings where a 71-year-old man sleuth-footed and taken down. Josh Alexander had hot coffee thrown all over him, and the principal hit a woman and smashed her phone. And a little kid got smacked in the face. And police stood down, did nothing, wouldn't help, wouldn't even take reports. It's craziness.
Yeah, but because they think anyone who disagrees with them is like right wing, like Nazis, and the usual insults that get
they just expose themselves continuously. Those people. So they're not.
Yep.
With,
Hey, just take names. That's all I say. Is
yeah, yeah. Just
remember
let them
these
do their
people.
thing.
Don't do anything. Don't be violent. Don't
Yeah,
fight back. Well, that was tell people what to do in terms of like self defense, but
yeah, within reason.
you can't. But then, this is something that I learned that I was sort of falling into the trap a bit until we had that's very senior decorated intelligence officer come on the show, Stephen Coughlin, a couple months back. He's like, look, it's no longer left and right. It's red pill versus blue pill. You're either awake or you're not awake. Like me, they always call me like some conservative. I'm not even a conservative, right? They call me
Yeah,
that, and it's
that's
like, no,
interesting you say that, because a lot of people that I've met through this would, I mean, libertarian, whatever way you'd want to say, or I mean, even a bunch of classical liberals. It's not really like almost more liberals probably I've met like than conservative. But I mean, these things and these terms don't mean what they used to. The Overton
yeah, but
window has
you
shifted like crazy, and they've changed language on so many things.
Yeah, but you don't want to paint yourself into a corner either, right? Like,
Yeah, with these labels.
don't like these labels. Oh, you're conservative. You need to
Yeah,
think this about that. It's like screw that, right? I'm not that. I'll formulate my own opinion on whatever the heck I want, whether it's
yeah,
conservative or
and how
liberal or
could you?
green,
Yeah,
right? Like
how could you lock
I'm a
yourself
big
into those boxes, where
yeah.
if saying you're conservative means you have to literally have to fall in line with X issue all the way down. Otherwise, you're some type of like, it's really bizarre. I don't know how anyone would approach a complex issue with such an asininely simple framework.
Yeah. So you just like I don't like me. I'm a big nature lover. Love animals. Love going out in nature, being at the farm. You know what? So there's some things from the green platform with pollution and that sort of thing that I'm all for. I can formulate my opinion. And once there's enough, like if there's enough issues, I'll vote for whatever party is going to rectify and fix the issues that I'm concerned about. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and where you can really get issues, like you said, the school boards. If people run for school board that really want to get involved, first of all, go to the meetings. If you have schools and boards, go to the meetings and see what the heck's going on. But if you get in the school board, you can basically affect change immediately. You can stop all this bull that's going on. Same with councils, city councils. Maybe in a big city like Ottawa, it's a little different. But a lot of smaller rural councils, like man, if you get in there, you can make a huge difference. It's not for
100%.
everyone, but for people who are looking to really make a change and effective change quite quickly, start at that lowest position, the local one.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone the other day, and they said, the school was I was out in Quebec there, and they were talking about this pride flag nonsense and the woke nonsense, and they're going to hoist it. And the parents got together and said, no, we're going to become the biggest pain in the ass if you do it. And the principal resigned.
Yeah. So,
Right?
and that's the thing. Once people stand up, as soon as a few people stand up, and we realize that this group that's bullying and the actual hate mongers, whatever. I mean, they're a very small but very loud minority. As soon as enough people stand up that they can't cancel you all at once, or if they try to cancel you and you don't let them, like don't bow to these people. People have outed
Well,
me in
yeah.
my entire past. Like I'm still here.
No, no, never apologize. Don't give them an inch, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Because they're
one of my past is you don't even get into religion, but that's between me and God, and I've made my peace with it, And I mean, to each their own. I don't try to push my religion on anyone, but I mean, it gives me. I don't. These attacks don't mean things to me. I know who I am now,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah, and don't give them an inch, right? You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And here's the other thing, but this is another thing I learned from Stephen Coughlin is you don't want to engage in the blue pill world because you've already lost, right? So what we know is they use their 14 lines of attack, gender, sexuality, religion, skin color, like all their, countries you're from,
yeah,
able-bodied, all the nonsense. Is that if you engage with them in that level, that means they're the ones who are controlling the conversation. I personally don't even engage with those people and in those arguments because it really has no effect. I don't look through the identitarian lens
no, yeah,
myself because if you do, you've already lost because you're playing in their lanes, right? Just
yeah.
don't
If you
even
if
do
you
that.
start playing by their, yeah, you're playing by their rules. You're in their game. But I mean, it's a little different for me because I put myself out in the middle of that crap all the time. But the really, I'm learning slowly. Best thing I can do is shut the fuck up and let these people just do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, expose the tyranny, right? That's what the
Yes,
trucker
exactly.
convoy
Same
did, and
with the Antifa. Same with all the things that have gone on in Ottawa here, man. All I have to do is be around and turn the lens on these people. And now with the amount of time, because I've been there for a long time, I have quite a body of evidence. It tells a story that's very hard to ignore.
Yeah, but the problem is that the legal system's rigged against you.
Oh yeah,
Police have shortages and that
yeah,
sort of thing. Is like the best sort of avenue I've learned is the best avenue is to stay out with the legal system, is to stay out of the legal system, right? Like, look what's happening. And then I know people, and we were doing it at first, we're like, oh, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that's sort of important. And people were talking about, oh, Nuremberg Code and this and that.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
You're going to start a Bill of Rights fight.
they don't, it's just useless. It's not worth the paper that it's written on, because the rules don't apply to them. They're complete and utter tyrants. And you're looking at what's happening in the legal system, where they're not following the law with certain things. And it's like, okay, well, just stop wasting on that stuff and focus on
Focus where you can make an actual
on
difference.
what matters. Focus on your circle of concern, your circle of control, circle of influence. And that's sort of the recommendation
It's good to
that I
have you
give.
say that stuff, because I mean, I kind of in a weird position where I'm telling people to never do things the way I do it often. Like, it doesn't, a lot of what I do doesn't really make sense probably to do for most people. But
Well,
lets me meet people like you who know what to do and share this kind of stuff is great. So
well, it's funny watching you, because some police officer, you're like, don't touch me, and then you'll like pull out some bylaw 2.1, you're not allowed to touch me, I'm allowed to step on this step. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned a few things along the way here.
Yeah.
Anywho, okay, well, I better not keep you. I think you got another one of these to do. I better not keep you too long.
Yeah, Ordinary Joe in 30 minutes.
There you
we'll be
go.
on
So that'll be
talking about the same stuff. And I like to start with the small audiences first. So you're the first guy,
Yes.
and then eventually we'll just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, hey, at least I'm in the I don't know, the game. I'll take it.
You're 14,000, right? Get up to that 50K mark, buddy.
That's just Facebook, eh? We'll talk about that next time. We'll see. I'm coming for you guys. Yeah, well, thanks so much for doing this, Drew, and looking forward to see what you guys are going to do moving forward with this.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Okay. Thanks. Stacey and Drew from Veterans for Freedom out.